So last week on Wednesday we did 2.1. Today we're going to do 2.3. We're skipping 2.2. So your quiz is just going to be 2.1 and 2.3. So 2.3 is about linear functions in slope-intercept form. So first thing we're going to look at is how to find the slope. The slope of a non-vertical line through the 2 points is the ratio of the vertical change to the corresponding horizontal change. So it's the change in y's on top over the change in x's on the bottom. So this is our slope formula. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And then the y2, y1, x2, x1 comes from your 2 points. So the first point is going to be the 1s, the second point is going to be the 2s. And remember, in your point, the x always comes before the y. So x is the first number, y is the second. Because in the alphabet, x comes before y. If it gave you the graph, you could always just count your rise over run. So the vertical change would be your rise, the horizontal change is your run. So if it gave you the graph of a line, you can count your slope as rise over run. But if it just gave you 2 points, this is the formula that we would use. So in example 1, what is the slope of the line that passes through the given points? So we always want to label our points. This is our first one, so we have x1, y1, and this is our second point, so x2, y2. And our formula for the slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we just take our y2, y1, x2, and x1 and plug it in. So on top, I'm going to have 4 minus 7. And then on the bottom, I have negative 2 minus negative 3. What is 4 minus 7? Negative 3. On the bottom, I have minus negative 3. What happens there? What's minus a negative turn into? A plus. So this would become negative 2 plus 3. What's negative 2 plus 3? 1. Can I simplify negative 3 over 1? Just negative 3. So my slope would be negative 3. And that's my answer. For the first few problems, all we're doing is finding the slope. Any questions here? All right, let's look at the next one. Again, we're doing the same thing. Our formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I have x1, y1, x2, y2. And I just need to plug in everything. So 1 minus 1 on the top, and negative 4 minus 3 on the bottom. What's 1 minus 1? 0. And what's negative 4 minus negative 3? Negative 7. What is 0 over negative 7 simplified to? 0. Any questions here? All right, another example. What is the slope of the line that passes through the points negative 1, negative 3, and 3, 1? So I have x1, y1, x2, y2. What's going to go on top of my fraction? Awesome. 1 minus negative 3. It's y2 minus y1 on top. What goes on the bottom? Awesome. 3 minus negative 1. So on top, I have minus a negative, which turns into a plus. So what's 1 plus 3? 4. And on the bottom, minus negative 1 turns into a plus. So it's 3 plus 1. 4. What does 4 over 4 simplify to? 1. So my slope here is 1. All right, on the next slide, we have an example of positive slope, negative slope, zero slope, and undefined. So looking at our graph here, you read graphs going from left to right. So if I was a person walking on this graph, going from left to right, just like how you read a sentence, I would be walking uphill, so this is a positive slope. Because I'm walking uphill, it's increasing, you have positive slope. The next one, if I was a person walking left to right, I'd be walking downhill, so this would be a negative slope. And the next one, if I was a person, I would be walking, but am I walking uphill or downhill here? I'm walking straight. So there's no up, there's no down, so the slope would be 0. For the fourth one, if I was a person, what would happen if I walked on this line? I would die. So slope is undefined. So I couldn't walk on this line. I would just fall straight down. So the slope is undefined. All right, next we have an intercept. An intercept of a line is a point where a line crosses an axis. So our vertical axis is our y-axis. The horizontal axis is our x-axis. Where we cross the y-axis is our y-intercept. Where we cross the x-axis is our x-intercept. So we could have two possible intercepts with our linear graphs, an x-intercept and a y-intercept. It's just telling you where it crosses that axis. So to write an equation of a line in slope-intercept form, that would be y is equal to mx plus b, where m is our slope, so we just figured out how to find the slope, and b is our y-intercept, so it's where our graph crosses the y-axis. So let's say I had an equation that was y is equal to 1/2 x plus 4. And it asked me to graph. What's the first thing I could put on my graph? The y-intercept. What's my y-intercept? 4. This 4 tells me where I'm going to cross the y-axis. So I know I'm going to cross that vertical line at 4. So that's my first point. That's my y-intercept. What's the next thing I could do? Awesome. I can look at my slope. So my slope is 1/2. M is equal to 1/2. 1 would be my rise. 2 would be my run. Slope is positive, so I know I'm going to be going up and to the right because I'm walking uphill. So I go up 1 and to the right 2. I could keep putting points up 1 to the right 2. But once I have 2 or 3 points, I can just connect my dots. So that would be my line. So for example 2, it asks us what is the equation of the line, and it gives us the slope and the y-intercept. So my equation of a line is y is equal to mx plus b. What's my m? 1/5. It gives it to me right here. So I can just plug that in, 1/5. What's my b? What is it? -3. Tells me why y-intercept is -3. So what do I put after that x there? -3. And that's it. So here it just asks you to plug in the m and the b. Any questions here? All right, last one. What would my equation of the line be? Y equals what?
Y equals -5 minus 7
What comes after the -5?
plus 7.
X, -5x. So it's y equals mx plus b. Don't forget about that x. And then how would I write my y-intercept? What comes next? -7. So since my b is negative, it has to be -7. That's my answer.